No, I'm not a United supporter. Never have been. Tottenham. Oh, wait, I gotta go. Show's starting. Oh. Sorry, just on the phone there, a little bit delayed. Welcome to a brand new episode of Gadget Nation and me, Adam Carruthers. As always, very excited to show you what we have in store today. So, I'm playing around with a phone here, but I got a chance to play around with a lot of phones today. Plus, of course, we got plenty more for you, like games and news and more great content. So, let's start the show.
Lenovo has announced its next generation smartphone, the new S850, which combines sleek design elements with quad-core performance, offering consumers greater choices across multiple price points to fit both lifestyle and budget. The S850 offers the fashion set an incredibly slim yet feature-packed mobile device. Samsung has revealed the Galaxy Tab Active, Samsung's first tablet built specifically for business. The Galaxy Tab Active employs the ruggedized portable design that professionals desire to take on the demands of today's challenging business environments. Asus Malaysia has unveiled on the new Asus PhonePad 7 FE375CG, available in nationwide. This 7-inch tablet with dual SIM 3G phone functionality is powered by the latest 64-bit Intel Atom Z3560 1.83 GHz quad-core processor and features a new design that is lighter and narrower than its predecessor.
And it's really hot out here. You know what? Enough talking from me. You have to check out these two phones. They've just hit the market. I'm excited about them. And I need to get out the sun. It's hot. Oh, look at all these devices here. We're only focusing on two of them. I've got some props here just to give a size comparison. Maybe you can take a look at the screen and see how it is. So, just to let you know, we have a Huawei Ascend P7 right here. It's got the white background right there, as you can see. We'll focus on this shortly. And alongside it, one of the latest offerings from Nokia. Very vibrant cover on the back, as you can see. This is a very nifty little phone. I'm rather impressed. As you can see, the box there, there's other colors that you could get as well. This is a 930, obviously. So just to show you how it compares in size, this is an iPhone 5S, and you can see it in comparison here with the Nokia firstly. So it's a little bit bigger, a little bit more surface area, a little bit more real estate on the front. And in terms of how it compares to the Huawei Ascend P7, you can see right there. All right. Now, just to compare to the Sony Z2, it's the latest flagship from Sony. You can see right there, compared to the Nokia, which is on my left hand, and on my right hand is the Sony. And we'll just swap it around with the Huawei. So there you go. Gives you a vague idea of how it looks, etc. Obviously, these two are flagship devices for their own brand, so we'll put this aside. Maybe I'll show you a bit of the screen later on in comparison. Now, let's just start off with the Nokia. All right, let me just firstly show you how it is. It's not too thick. You can probably see it just right there. It's a shade under 10 mm in terms of thickness. Now, what I do like, although you might not like the color, is this bright green one that we have for our, well, reviewing purposes, but it has a very nice feel to it. It's got a, I don't know, it exudes class and quality. That's honestly what I think. It does feel very nice. Although, knowing me, if I was to get this, there'll be a case in the back, so you'll never really be able to experience that. But I think that's the case with most phones nowadays. Now, the front looks nice and clear. Nokia panels tend to be very, very nifty, very sharp, very, very cool. So, obviously, I'm a big fan of that. Now, I'm not sure if you can make out, but this is a unibody phone, so you can't take off the cover, you can't stick in another battery or anything like that in terms of expandable storage. So that's a little bit of a letdown. Everyone knows that I do love that sort of thing. But we'll have to take with exactly what we're given. Now, overall, it's very smooth. It's got 2 GB of RAM. It uses a Snapdragon 801 processor, which is not the latest one, the 801 that we'll see on, say, the Sony Z2 like such, but the differences between the two are very minimal, so it shouldn't affect anything too badly. Well, that's my opinion nonetheless. But like I said, this phone is very, very similar to what we've seen from the 1520. The camera on the back, obviously a huge selling point of any Nokia phone nowadays, well, at least their flagship ones, ever since that 1020 came out, is pretty much the same. I mean, we've got the 20 megapixels, or 20.1 to be precise. You can snap some really good pictures. Sometimes you notice that the color balance, the white balance and all is a little bit off, but you can access the raw files, etc. So you can jump straight in and start tweaking things around. And I don't think anybody else can really offer that. The screen itself, if you're going to be comparing this to something like the LG G3, which uses the Quad HD, it's a little bit unfair, because, well, not many devices are using that right now, and that's super clear. But this, like I said, the Nokia panel, the screen itself, does a fantastic job. The blacks look very black, etc. And to be honest, that Quad HD, which we see in the LG G3, has some issues because some of the games won't play on that device just yet, in the Android marketplace anyway. Not going to mention any names. So something to think about as well. This is a very, very solid unit that we have right here. Just a shrunken down version of the 1520. And if you're a sucker for the camera, obviously it is one of the contenders for the cameras in the smartphone area, in the best of category at least. Now, let's move on to Huawei. So we got the Huawei Ascend P7, which is very cool. Now, a couple of things I would like to point out firstly. The body, it's nice, but it's not all glass. In fact, just playing around this reminds me a lot of this, which is the Z2. For example, we've got the glass on the front and the back, as you can see right there. How about this? The power button, which is on the same side, just look at that. It's got that circular power button. They're both very, very similar. I'm not sure you can quite make it out. So it really has strong elements of the Z2, which is why I wanted to bring this out to show you. Let me just put the Z2 down. Even holding it feels similar, except this is a smaller version of the Z2, in that the glass in the front and back and aluminium along the sides and the power button. But, oh well, I guess if I like the feeling of the Z2, I should also like this, right? Okay, this is actually very thin. It's much thinner and lighter than the Z2. It's also thinner and lighter than the Nokia, which I was just holding. I mean, it's a shade over 6 millimeters in terms of thickness, weighs about 124 grams. So this is not gonna weigh down in your pocket or anything, which obviously is a big issue for some people out there, including me. But overall, I have to say I'm rather impressed. I wanna compare the camera with what we just saw from the Nokia. This is about 13 megapixels. Sometimes I'm not sure about the placement because sometimes you might have a finger in the shot while you're trying to take something that's right there in the corner, as you can see. But it does a very good job. It is definitely comparable to any other 13 megapixels cameras that we have. And on the front here, we have 8 megapixels, which obviously I think will do a very decent job as well. Absolutely zero complaints about all of that. In terms of power, I think it does a very, very good job. I mean, underneath this, it's a 5-inch panel. We've got a nice clear screen, full HD, obviously, a 1.8 gigahertz Kirin 910T ARM processor. So that's obviously doing its job as well. And there's absolutely zero complaints on that front. Also, crucially, this is cheaper. This is a shade under 1,500, whereas the Nokia is a shade under 2,000 ringgit. I think they've done a very, very good job. Obviously, it's one of the cheaper phones out there with these kind of specs, so there's a lot to love about it and plenty you can play around with it. But what do I think in closing? I think they're both smashing phones. I mean, the Huawei has got a 441 pixel density on the front, so it does look nice and clear, as you can see right there. The Nokia, it's also very clear, and I think one of the big points about having a Nokia device would be that the screens tend to be very nice and they're coming off the edge. It's like there's nothing between your finger and the actual screen itself. I really like the screens. I've always been a fan of that. I've always maintained that. It's one of the big selling points of the Nokia, along with, of course, the camera. Huawei, obviously, it's running on Android. It's using KitKat 4.4, but obviously it's got their own skin, their emotion skin from Huawei. which is also rather nice and nifty, so I can't really complain too much about that. Takes a little bit of getting used to, but at its heart, it is an Android device. Obviously, Lumia is not an Android device. It's using something else completely, and it's certainly growing on me, these Windows phones. I'm really becoming quite a big fan of these, and I just hope they continue to progress and we get more and more apps available on these devices. They're both something worth checking out. If the price point is a stickler, like I mentioned, 1,500, slightly under 2,000 ringgit. But this has a very premium feel about it. The back is nice. It's got this plush sort of feeling on your fingers. It's very hard for me to describe. Not sure how to do so. Perhaps a little bit too vibrant for some people as well. The screen on the front also obviously very nice, and the camera speaks for itself. The Huawei doesn't quite feel as nice. It doesn't have the same sort of caliber, as thin and as light as it may be, but it does a very decent job with its 13 megapixel camera, etc. But given that it feels very similar to the Z2, but, well, smaller, this still feels a little bit more classy. It feels like it has a little bit more refinement about it. So it's definitely something to think about. Both phones, solid, worth checking out. I think the Nokia will get a 4 out of 5 for me. Perhaps Huawei, 3 out of 5.